boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Is Sports Center.
A major decision's been made impacting both the NBA and college basketball. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Dan Hurley turned down the Lakers' 6-year, $70 million offer to become their new coach. Instead, he'll be back with Connecticut pursuing a 3rd consecutive national title. Hurley and UConn will continue discussions to make him one of the highest-paid NCAA coaches. This is a great day for college athletics, in the opinion of ESPN college basketball analyst Seth Greenberg.
As much turmoil as our collegiate athletics are under right now, I think this is a really good sign that a person like Dan Hurley could take the Lakers, one of the 3, to me, iconic brands in the NBA, and say, I am really appreciative of your interest, but my heart, my soul, my family, this is my team. I'm going back to UConn.
Lakers will resume bringing in candidates for interviews with the hope of hiring a coach by the NBA draft later this month. NFL Steelers coach Mike Tomlin signed a 3-year extension through the 2027 season. Game 2 Stanley Cup final tonight. Panthers up 1-0, host the Oilers, 8 Eastern on ABC.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Used to. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. My goodness, do we have a lot of meat on the bone today. Baseball, transfer portal comings and goings. We've got some portal rankings for football. Will Hellmers next hour. A Saints minicamp preview with Cat Terrell 13 minutes away. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
As we were wrapping up the show on Friday, we got the unexpected and very good news that LSU running back John Emery will remain LSU running back John Emery. You all know the story by now of John Emery, and when he went into the portal some time ago, we all sort of put a bow on what we thought was the end of John Emery's time in Baton Rouge. And it was interesting because John Emery even tweeted his picture of his official visit to UCLA. There was a report from Matt Zenitz that Emery was likely to end up at UCLA in the transfer portal, but in turn, John now will come back to LSU. I have some thoughts on why that may come about, but first things first, I am a John Emery fan. Okay, and I'm not necessarily just talking about John Emery, the football player. I'm talking about everything that John Emery has been through. We are currently existing in the most transformative era in the history of college athletics. That is not even debatable. With transfer portal and NIL, there has never been a time even remotely resembling this. And when it has never been easier for players to be self-centered, self-focused, to leave at the first sign of trouble, to leave for the highest bidder, whatever the case may be, John Emery stayed time and time again and persevered time and time again. And by the way, you know how I feel. Guy wants to leave for greener pastures, go. You got an opportunity to go get money? God bless you, get your bag. I have no problem with it. Y'all know I am very pro-portal. I am pro-NIL, the most extreme pro of those things you can imagine. It doesn't mean that you can admire someone who perseveres. And John Emery has done that. He was the 11th ranked player in the country coming out of high school, played on the national championship team, had the COVID year, missed all of 2021 due to academics. At that point, he was 3 years out of high school. John Emery at that point could have gone to the NFL, or he could have transferred or done anything he wanted. Came back in 2022 at Brian Kelly. Earned his way out there, even despite missing the beginning of the season due to academics again, and then could have left after 2022, came back for 2023. Missed for academics again at the beginning of the season. Ultimately, tears his ACL in November, sticks around, and graduates. Y'all realize? John Emery graduated last month. School ain't for everybody. School's hard for a lot of people. And John Emery could have walked away many, many times. But that dude walked across the stage, and he's got my respect. And he could have gone somewhere else where there'd been better shot of playing time, but LSU got him back here, and he has my respect for that as well, and I hope it works out. So that's the first part of it. By the way, and I know we went through this when John Emery left, but the only reason he still has eligibility, because that 2021 season he missed due to academics, that's not a redshirt year. You lose that year of eligibility. So John Emery's technically out of eligibility. He was able to appeal to get the year back because he graduated. That's why he has a sixth year now. So he has my respect for that. Specifically on the field, you need running back depth. Remember, Noah Cain, Logan Diggs, Trey Bradford, they're all gone. You had 2 scholarship running backs in spring, 2. You had Caleb Jackson and Josh Williams. That's it. Those are the 2 running backs you had available, scholarship running backs you had available in spring. Now you've got freshman Caden Durham arriving here for the summer and for the fall. That gives you 3. Now we have all anticipated that Trey Holly was going to be able to return. Now, I want to remind you of this. Brian Kelly, this was on April the 8th. Brian Kelly on April the 8th gave an update on the Trey Holly situation. Again, this was a little more than 2 months ago that Brian Kelly said this.
We advocated for him to continue his schooling, and we were happy that he was able to continue his schooling here as an online student. So he's maintained his eligibility because of that. So we'll be, obviously monitoring and making sure that, I think they're talking about, sometime in the middle of April that we could see a full resolution to this. At that time, we'll begin the process in assisting him for reinstatement, and we'll advocate for him on his behalf and welcome him back.
Okay, that was on April the 8th when Brian Kelly said we're expecting full resolution middle of April. All right, this is Trey Holly. Now, this slipped through the cracks a couple of weeks ago, and forgive me for that, but this was a report from KNOE in North Louisiana that the judge in this trial of Trey Holly stepped down, recused himself in this trial, and a new judge was appointed. And in this report from KNOE, they very clearly state that the expectation is that the trial will happen in the first or middle part of 2025, meaning Trey Holly, who's, remember, had the attempted murder charge dismissed, but he's still being charged on a weapons charge. Well, if he's not eligible to play until this trial comes to conclusion, they're saying there won't be a trial. This report is there won't be a trial until earlier mid-2025, meaning Trey Holly could miss the whole season, which is maybe one of the reasons why there was an appeal to bring John Emery back to Baton Rouge. I don't know all of that, and when Brian Kelly speaks with the media at Next, we'll certainly see if there's any update there. But that certainly would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? If all of a sudden something's happened and you feel like you're not going to have Trey Holly available, and so you were going to go into the season with Caleb Jackson, Caden Durham, and Josh Williams, yeah, it helps to have somebody. I want to remind you of this. I think everybody, when another running back pops up in this conversation, I think the tendency is for people to think, man, I just really want to see what Caleb Jackson would look like with 200 carries on the season. And my opinion is you're going to see that this year. And Logan Diggs was your leading rusher among running backs. He tore his ACL. He's now at Ole Miss. Jaden Daniels led the SEC in rushing, and he's now in the NFL. So, and Garrett Nussmeier had 1 rushing attempt last year. 1. So you need somebody to replace those carries, and Caleb Jackson and Josh Williams are likely going to be your 1-2 punch to get the lion's share of them. But experienced depth is never a bad thing. So you get a guy that's going to be going into his 6th year of college who has elite athletic game-breaking ability, and maybe John Emery gets 5 to 7 touches a game, a few carries, a couple of receptions. Like maybe that's it, and that's where he maxes out as far as his contribution of this year's team. Or maybe there's injuries and problems happen. You need to lean more heavily on John Emery. But I'll never look at experienced depth and say that's a bad thing. It's a great thing that LSU's got John Emery back in the fold for a 6th season at a position where, yes, they're thin and there's still uncertainty because of what's happening with Trey Holly. So welcome back to John Emery back in the fold with LSU. The next question really is, how healthy is he from the torn ACL? When will he be 100% ready to contribute? But we'll get those answers as we move along. Okay, our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light. Hey, y'all go follow Mockler Beverage on all the social media platforms. Y'all know, if you're a country music fan, that Zach Bryan is coming for a concert in New Orleans, and our friends over at Mockler Beverage have your opportunity to win tickets. So go follow Mockler Beverage on all of the different social media accounts and look for your opportunity to win tickets for that show coming up coming up in July. It's Zach Bryan, courtesy of Bud Light. Again, you'll see the QR code. It's supporting Folds of Honor, presented by Bud Light. Scan the QR code for your chance to win 2 tickets to the Quittin' Time Tour on July 25th in New Orleans. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Okay, it's after further review, y'all. Let me knock out our first break. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows. When we come back, Saints got OTAs in the rearview mirror. It's mandatory minicamp time. Our friend Kat Terrell will join us. We're looking forward to that conversation about the black and gold next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics. You check them out online, actionindinc.com, as in Action Industries Incorporated, actionindinc.com. Tell you all the time about all the great work that they do in the many plants, the petrochemical refinery markets, the plants up and down the river. If you're a maintenance manager, turnaround coordinator, make sure you get to know Action Industries, because they're an amazing company. And maybe one of the best things I can say about them is they know who they are. Like, if you're trying to hire for a mega project, that's not Action Industries. But if you have a 100-person job and you feel like some of those gigantic corporate contractors aren't giving you their best effort, fullest attention, you would be Action Industries' #1 priority. Since 1982, 42 years servicing Louisiana. Of course, also fabrication shop services are available. It's Action Industries. Check them out online or on LinkedIn. Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, Windows, Doors, Siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
I'm trying to connect with Kat Terrell, ESPN.com. Saints opened up minicamp on Tuesday, so I want to give a full recap of OTAs and a preview of minicamps. While we connect with Kat, LSU baseball did get some good news today. After 7 players have entered the transfer portal, they did finally get a commitment. Chandler Dorsey, who's a right-handed pitcher out of South Florida. He becomes LSU's first commitment of this portal class. 30 innings pitched in 26 appearances. He was South Florida's true closer. 3.60 ERA, 41 strikeouts, and 16 walks in 30 innings pitched. So we'll tell you much more about him. But Chandler Dorsey, who spent 2 years there in Tampa with the Bulls at South Florida, transferring into LSU. To be determined if he remains a closer or if he looks to maybe come in and potentially vie for a starting role. But we'll see Chandler Dorsey, the first commitment for Jay Johnson here in this 2024 portal cycle. Saints open up minicamp on Tuesday. Kat Terrell, ESPN.com, good enough to join us to recap OTAs and preview minicamp. Kat, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Great piece up at ESPN.com, very encompassing about your preview in this minicamp. Let me begin with maybe an easy one. For people who hear OTAs minicamp, what are the difference or the primary differences between OTAs like last week and minicamp this week?
Honestly, really the only difference is that minicamp is mandatory, so players could get fined for not showing up. You can't fine a player for not showing up to OTAs, which is why you typically see players not in OTAs more than you would see them not in minicamp. So if there's missing players this week, it would be a much bigger deal. And besides that, media gets access all 3 days instead of just one of the 3 days. So, that's the big difference for me.
And obviously we'll get much more coverage, which is awesome. And this is obviously a point on the calendar where you look at contract designations post June 1. There's been a lot of talk about Marshawn Lattimore primarily, but would you expect any other roster movement coming or going now that we're post June 1 deadline?
No, not right now. I think if anything was to happen, it would be in training camp if they made any surprise cuts. But, the only real big thing to still be looking at, just like you said, is Marshawn Lattimore. And if they trade him, it kind of looks like that's not going to happen now. But it's the deadline to, I guess, make it happen. And basically, for those who aren't contract nerds like me, the date is only meaningful because it makes it so that the player's salary cap hit is less if you want to cut or trade them. Sometimes it's hard to part ways with a player simply because of the way their contract is structured. And then once you get past this date, it kind of makes it easier.
Let me just stick with the cornerbacks. I know everyone's talking about line and quarterback, but let me just stick with cornerbacks for a second. Based on what you've seen, and Kool-Aid McKinstry hasn't been out there, what have we learned, if anything, about the cornerbacks in the secondary room so far?
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot more about them this week. I think we're going to see a little more of Kool-Aid. Well, I guess we haven't seen anything yet. We're hopefully going to see Lattimore. But, I don't really know. I think that we learned a lot at the end of last season, and that's that they can be very successful without Lattimore, which probably feeds into, are they going to trade him or not? But I think it's a very good cornerback room, with or without him. I think Paulson Adebo is very talented. I think Alontae Taylor is very talented. There was a play the other day near the goal line. Derek Carr had a pass tipped at the line and then tipped again by Alontae Taylor into the hands of Demario Davis for an interception. And I thought it was a great play. I was talking to the cornerbacks coach later, and he was saying, those are the things that we're trying to teach, and we want more of those. So I would think that there would be a big emphasis, again, on turnovers this year like there was last year.
Kat Terrell's with us, ESPN.com. She's on Twitter at @Kat_Terrell. Give her a follow. All right, let's talk about the offensive line. Is there any update, or when might we expect an update on Ryan Ramczyk?
I think they're going to keep that as quiet as possible until training camp. Last time we asked Dennis Allen about it, he said, we wouldn't expect him at the beginning of training camp. But, as we get closer, I think you do have to talk about, are they going to see him at training camp at all? Is he going to play at all? And it really kind of looks like they're preparing to not have him. When we were talking to Dennis Allen last week, he was talking about leadership on the offensive line. I think he was saying Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and he didn't say Ryan Ramczyk as a team leader. And that's not a knock against Ramczyk. I think just in their mind and mentally, they're kind of preparing for 2024 without him. But, that's just speculation on my part.
We've seen Nick Saldiveri get first-team reps at left guard. Do you think this is just, it's early enough in the preseason, we're not even in camp yet, he's just getting reps to see how it works? Or is this like a legit thing where they feel like he is the guy at left guard now?
I don't know if they think he's the guy yet, but I do know that from all the times we talked to Dennis Allen, Mickey Loomis, whoever throughout the spring, his name kept coming up by them. It wasn't by us. It was them bringing it up. And so I do think that they think a lot of him, even though, we haven't seen a lot of him because last year he didn't play and also he was dealing with some injuries. But I think their perspective is probably different from ours. So, that definitely could be a real thing. I think it's so hard to talk about the offensive line and how they're progressing, as you know, until they get pads on. So, there's all this talk about how Trevor Penning will succeed or not succeed this year. And I feel like until the last week in July, the first week in August, we're probably not going to have a great grasp on it other than who's with the ones and who's with the twos.
It's completely right. It's almost impossible to ask questions about offensive and defensive line when there's no pads on. But one more follow-up. I think we all know the stories like with Fuanga at left and Penning at right. But they did add some veterans. For any reason, good, bad, or that you've seen or spoken to people around the Saints, have any of those veterans seemed to stand out yet?
No, because the one that you'll be looking at the most is Ali Udo, and he's been hurt, and I think kind of working his way back in. So out of the veterans they've added, that's the guy that I would be kind of intrigued to see what he can do because he can play multiple positions, and I think Dennis Allen also talked about that the other day, and he has experience. So he's probably someone that's going to fight for a lot of playing time when he gets healthy. And again, some of that is, I think, really going to depend on Trevor Penning and how willing they are to keep, I guess, pushing this. I don't think they want to give up on Penning yet. Obviously, they're trying him at a different position, but I am curious to see if that lasts, through training camp into the season, or if he doesn't have a great start to camp, if they kind of move on and push him in the background. I think it'll be interesting to watch, pads or no pads.
She's on Twitter at @Kat_Terrell. A couple more for you, Kat. What are you going to be looking for with the quarterbacks in minicamp the next 3 days?
Well, I think Jake Haener, he's a guy I mentioned, and in that preview you were talking about. I think that he has really looked good so far. He's had a great start. I'm going to kind of be watching to see if that is kind of consistent, the consistent story, because I think Spencer Rattler has not had a great start to OTAs, and yet you can't overhype or underhype the quarterbacks too much at this point, because I think it's a little unfair, because Rattler, is a rookie and Haener has 1 year of experience. But I'm going to be watching that competition in minicamp and all summer, because I'm so intrigued to see what they do with it. I think it's so rare that teams have two young back-to-back draft picks like this competing against each other. And, what's the ultimate outcome? Do all three of them stay on the roster? And I say three. I know there's 4 quarterbacks, but I feel like really anyone's going to be talking about 3 quarterbacks for the rest of the summer.
Yeah, I'm okay with the Nathan Peterman slander here. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
This is a safe
space.
He threw
an interception the other day. His one pass was an interception. We all kind of laughed.
I was like, yeah, poor guy. Like, you don't have a shot. Just why don't you just drop your pads off on the way out? Hey, before you go, like anything else that you would say that you're intrigued to watch over these next 3 days?
Well, I know we talked a little cornerbacks, but honestly, I am very intrigued to see how they handle the Lattimore situation. I think a little bit the same for Alvin Kamara. It's a different situation, but, those are 2 guys that didn't show up to OTAs, and that's been the case for the past at least 3 off seasons. And, they're installing a new offensive system, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So, it's their right not to go to OTAs, but when almost every other person is there, I think it definitely is something that is going to draw attention, for better or for worse. So I'm interested to see and hear from them. And then I always love watching the young wide receivers. Like, that's always one of my favorite parts of, I guess, the off season and training camp. And one of the guys that I want to watch is Bub Means, their new draft pick, kind of to see how he responds and interacts with Derek Carr and things like that. And so cornerbacks, wide receivers, those are the two big ones. But defensive line, we kind of touched on. Same thing. Yeah, I know there's no pads, but there's a lot of players on that defensive line that have a lot of unrealized potential, and they're going to need that from them this year. So I'll be watching that too.
Cat Terrell, ESPN.com. Good stuff. We always appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure. As Saints hit the practice field the next 3 days for minicamp with media availability, so expect plenty of reports. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com. I tell you all the time, at First South Farm Credit, since 1916, they've done one thing. That's help Louisianians buy land. But what you should remember, it's not just in Louisiana. Yes, there are locations all over Louisiana, but also Mississippi and Alabama, and they can help you buy land in any of the contiguous 48. So if you want hunting property in Mississippi or Texas, or you're buying a ranch in Montana or whatever, if you're buying that 20 acres in St. Francisville to build your family's dream home, you need 1,000 acres for agriculture, First South Farm Credit can help. And for the last 29 years, they've offered a patronage refund, meaning the lender actually writes you a check. It's incredible because they're a member-owned cooperative. They share their profits with their borrowers. So just for borrowing from First South Farm Credit, you will get a check every year, which essentially lowers your cost of borrowing. It's First South Farm Credit. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. I do agree with Kat about the receivers. It is interesting because I feel like they've added a whole a lot of bodies to that room, but I don't know that I could definitively say anyone after your first 2 guys have a spot. I think I have a good feeling about A.T. Perry. I mean, Cedric Wilson is the most accomplished of the veterans that they signed, but after Olave and Rashid Shaheed, I don't know that there's a lot I have faith and trust and confidence in, so it feels like it's a really good opportunity for those guys. The other thing, too, is tight end. I mean, I know we've talked about it, but Clint Kubiak, in the offenses he has been in, has never had a tight end that looks like Taysom Hill or Juwan Johnson. Like, he's more of a prototypical tight end guy. So that bodes very well for Foster Moreau. What does it mean for the other guys? Like, how do they just find creative ways to work them into the offense? That's something I'll be really interested to watch as we continue to see more and more of this new offense. Okay, it is After Further Review. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, we'll go around the SEC and some terribly sad news this weekend around the LSU basketball program, which we'll discuss when we come back as well. Will Hellmers here in about 45 minutes from right now. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's. Hey, remember, this Sunday is Father's Day. That's right. I know a lot of people tend to forget, but Sunday is Father's Day, where we honor the dads. Something we did last year for Father's Day is we had Rouse's barbecue in the catering trays. So if you want ribs or brisket or any of that great stuff, I mean, you can call ahead to place your order. Go pick it up on Father's Day if that's what's most convenient for you. And let Rouse's take care of Dad this Father's Day. So ladies or dads, just make that suggestion to the lady in your life that you'd like some barbecue from Rouse's for Father's Day coming up this Sunday. Rouse's, of course, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. And they always got great deals over at Rouse's. So if you're buying on a budget, you're looking at your budget as you go grocery shopping, make sure you go to the website or the app, hit the weekly ad tab, and you'll see all of the sales over at Rouse's. With almost 70 locations, Rouse's, this feels like home.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is excited to partner with our sister station, Eagle 98.1, on a rare opportunity for local bands in our area to be the featured act for Kenny Wayne Shepherd's July 13th show at the River Center. We're looking for 5 Louisiana bands to compete at a special Battle of the Bands on June 21st at the Texas Club. To submit an entry to take part with a sample of your band's sound and get all the details, visit 1045ESPNBatonRouge.com. The entry deadline is June 12th.
You need to get the new copy points, Muse, because you forgot the sponsor tag.
Well, I didn't see the new copy points there in the old email this morning.
Cade sent it last week.
Did he?
Yes, he did. And the Battle of the Bands is presented by Parrish Construction and Roofing.
Parrishbuilt.com.
Parrishbuilt.com. So please get the
Yes, I'm looking for it right now.
Okay, thank you. That is a really cool thing, though. If you missed any of that, the long story short, at Michelle Southern and Eagle 98.1, they did an awesome job putting this together. The opening act for Kenny Wayne Shepherd had to back out, and so Michelle had the idea of doing something awesome, and they're going to let a local band open for Kenny Wayne Shepherd at the River Center. That's freaking awesome. So the Battle of the Bands to compete to be the opening act is June 21st, so we're 11 days away. That's next Friday. Not this coming Friday, but the next. So, and that'll be at the Texas Club, and it's all presented by Parrish Construction and Roofing. So we're thrilled to be a part of that. Support local musicians and do business with someone you know. Parrishbuilt.com. Parrishbuilt.com. Man, this is terribly sad news. I'm sure you probably saw it over the weekend, but LSU basketball announced that Josh Maravich died. Of course, Josh Maravich played basketball at LSU and is the son of Pistol Pete Maravich. And I think we all know Pistol Pete died back in 1988 at the age of 40 of a heart issue that went undetected during his playing days. And Josh Maravich died at his home Friday at the age of 42. No cause of death was given. So I don't know, and I'm not going to speculate. Man, when I think of Josh Maravich, there's, first of all, sincere condolences to the family. His brother Jason, his mom Jackie, going through the tragedy they did back in 1988 with Pete dying suddenly, and now to lose a son, a brother is, it's unthinkable. So our sincere condolences. One of the things about Josh Maravich, and he always said he knew when he came to LSU as a walk-on, he wasn't going to be a great player, but he wanted to play in the building named for his father and carry on that legacy. That was important to him and to his family, and it was something he wanted to do. So I admire that part of it very much. And Josh was in Baton Rouge just a couple of years ago at the unveiling. Josh and Jason designed the Pistol Pete statue that's outside of the practice facility. They helped design the concept. And so they were there for the statue unveiling just 2 years ago. But one of the coolest memories that I have of Josh Maravich actually is not from his playing days. In 2009, LSU had a celebration of 100 years of LSU basketball, if you all remember this. And so they invited all the LSU basketball alum to come play in like a pickup game. And you had all different eras represented, and it was really cool to see. Well, Josh Maravich came and played in that game. Well, he wore floppy socks and Converse like his dad did, which was and I do have pictures buried somewhere on a thumb drive, somewhere in the deep recesses of all the stuff that I have everywhere, and I'll find them and post them. But that was a very cool tribute that's been 15 years now, and I remember that vividly, being there and seeing that. And very, very sad for the Maravich family, and condolences to all those who knew and loved Josh Maravich on his untimely passing on Friday. He was 42 years old. Okay, it's after further review. Always clumsy to transition out of something like that into something completely mundane and insignificant like sports, but let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Well, maybe somebody threw a small bucket of water on part of the Flames over there in Tuscaloosa. They got a commitment from Michael Carroll. He's a 4-star offensive lineman, the number 27 prospect for the class of 2025. That's actually... that's just on 3. The composite has him as the number 183 overall and the number 112 at his position. That's more like it, Bama. That's more like it. You're not getting number 27 offensive lineman anymore. You're getting number 183, you chumps. Again, I'm not saying you're going to be terrible. You're just not going to be great ever again, you chumps. Come at me on Twitter, all you dorks.
The Auburn Tigers.
My Twitter mentions have been an absolute disaster this weekend. When did we do Bama is Burning? What day was that?
Thursday, I believe.
Whatever day it was. Ever since we posted Bama is Burning. What is the clip at on Twitter? Like 380,000 views or something like that?
Paul?
It's somewhere in that ballpark, yeah.
Alabama fans are none too pleased with me, and it is really fun to watch them melt in my mentions. It is a little annoying, though, because it's just like every time you refresh, you got more of them. But they're funny to read. Four-star offensive tackle Broderick Shull. He committed to Auburn, 6'5", 275, the 13th best offensive tackle in the country, third best player in Oklahoma. Chose Auburn over Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and Nebraska.
The Missouri Tigers.
Another interior offensive line commit, this time to Missouri, Henry Fanuku. He's a four-star. Chose Mizzou over Texas Tech. Rough day for Texas Tech. Texas Tech, Ohio State, SMU, and others. 6'4", 295. He's the 8th commit for Missouri in the 2025 cycle. Now, this is a Missouri commit. He's the number 386 overall prospect in the country.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Gamecocks got a linebacker for 2025. What was up with all these commitments? I guess you had official visits this past weekend. Jaquel Holman has committed. He's a 3-star. Now, that's a South Carolina commitment. 3-star linebacker has committed to Carolina, Shane Beamer. He's the number 961 overall prospect in the country. That makes an awful lot of sense. He's the 100th best linebacker. So congrats to South Carolina on continuing to be perpetually mid.
The Florida Gators.
And Miami infielder Blake Sear has committed to the Gators. Third commitment out of the transfer portal. A junior will transfer with 2 years of eligibility remaining. Played in 25 games for the Canes this past year due to injury. Despite breaking his thumb in April, still slashed 284, 397, and 537 with 7 homers. Gators have made quite a few roster moves here to bolster the 2025 infield. They've already added a Jacksonville University infielder Justin Nato and Texas Tech infielder Landon Stripling. Okay, there you have it. That is around the SEC. We're brought to you by our friends over at Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Terrell was here on Friday. You know, Terrell's got T3, the industrial company, and they tell him, man, he needs scales. They got these big trucks that move all these big, giant truckloads of sand and gravel and all that stuff. Well, you have to weigh it to know how much you got, how much to allocate, all that sort of stuff. We need scales. Where do you get scales? Michelli. With more than 30 offices across 12 different states now, continuing to grow and expand while maintaining their local ownership. Their main office is right there in Harahan, right there by the bridge. It's such an awesome business, and I love telling you about it because, they're 8 decades in business now. 76 years, they just continue plowing through and growing and expanding while maintaining their ownership and servicing their clients in a magnificent way. So if you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, and rents the products you use to weigh and measure. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. All right, y'all. It's after further review. We're going to knock out our final break here of hour number 2. We'll come back. The NBA Finals Game 2 was last night. Scottie Scheffler wins again. Big shocker. But I know a lot of what everybody's interested in here today is a lot of what's going on in the portal. LSU baseball finally landed a commitment, but they've lost 7 players out of the portal. So we are going to get to that. And Will Hellmers is going to be with us in 30 minutes from right now. When we come back, Paul Mainieri could be coming out of retirement. And there's a report that an SEC team is targeting Paul Mainieri to make him their next head coach. We'll talk about it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James & Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com. Agent225.com. I love sharing raving fan shout-outs from Darren James when I get them. And this one came in from Robbie Johnson, who said, Darren and his team made my home sale such a quick and easy process. The whole team had great communication, helped remedy any issue that came up quickly. Thank you and the team for such a great experience. Another 5-star review. Another 5-star review for Darren James & Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Told you last week the awesome news. The Wall Street Journal Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America came out. Darren James, number 14 in America, number 1 in Louisiana, number 14 in America on the transaction side. So if you need to sell your home, hire the realtor that sells more homes than anyone. Call Darren James, agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Well, this just escalated. So as we were coming on the air, Hunt kind of ran back in studio and said, hey, have you seen the report from Teddy Cahill? Which I hadn't. Teddy Cahill from Baseball America reported just about an hour ago that Paul Mainieri was being targeted by South Carolina to be their new head coach. You might remember, of course, they fired Mark Kingston after 7 years in Columbia. This is breaking news, and this is from our friend Kendall Rogers just 8 minutes ago. This is advanced, and Kendall is reporting that Paul Mainieri is expected to be named the new head coach at South Carolina. So Kendall's as good as they come in the business and is as connected as anybody in this business. It's a little bit of a wow here. So Paul Mainieri is 66 years old. And, you know, when Paul left LSU 3 years ago, it was a retirement. But look, it didn't take long when Link Jarrett left Notre Dame for the Florida State job, there were a lot of reports about, 2 years ago, Paul Mainieri entertaining the conversation of returning to Notre Dame. We know that Paul Mainieri has worked here in Baton Rouge as sort of an on-field coach consultant for BRCC. I think there have been conversations about other jobs that have come open where Paul Mainieri's name has surfaced. And something that I guess I've learned in doing this long enough is, generally speaking, when a person's name keeps coming up for jobs that's intentional, and a lot of times it's an agent who is, when their candidate wants to be considered for better jobs or wants a better deal at where they are, you continue to hear someone's name mentioned. Well, Paul Mainieri right now is retired. He's unemployed. So I shouldn't say unemployed, but you know what I mean. He's not coaching right now. So it's not like he's trying to leverage his current employer to get more money or leverage interest to get more money out of his current employer. He's looking for a job. And, for Paul, I think he is as candid a coach as I have ever covered. And I'll tell you that in all the years that I've been at LSU or been covering LSU, I would tell you Paul Mainieri is probably he's on the short list of my favorite coaches to cover because he not only had a tremendous amount of success, but as a member of the media, you want candor and you want availability and accessibility. And Paul Mainieri gave you all of that. And so he was a pleasure to cover for all the years that he was there. And, sometimes you could say he was candid to a fault because he would give you the answer to a question, and sometimes people didn't like the answer and they'd criticize the answer. Well, I was never that. All that to say, and I'm getting my thoughts together here, just as this is just breaking. If you're maybe joining us now at 3:51, this is not even 10 minutes old. Kendall Rogers is reporting that Paul Mainieri is expected to be named the new head baseball coach at South Carolina. All of that to say, when someone asks Paul Mainieri this question, I think he's going to give you an honest answer, and I think what he'll tell you is he did not want to leave 3 years ago. I don't think he was done coaching in his mind. Now, there's a big difference between LSU being ready for a change and maybe it being time and Paul Mainieri not being ready to leave, right? All that to say, I think it was exactly what I said at the time. It was the right decision. LSU was on the doorstep of a national title in 2017, and then in 2018, they had to travel for a regional, so they lost. 2019, they missed out on a national seed, but lost a home super regional Florida State. There was no season, obviously, in the COVID year in 2020. And then in 2021, they made that great run. They had to travel again for a regional, but they came out of the losers bracket and won in Eugene. I said Oregon State in 2018. You know what I meant. But they won the regional in Eugene and then lost the supers in Knoxville. But I think it's fair to say sometimes it's just time. Sometimes something runs its course. I think that's what had happened. But I also don't think that meant Paul Mainieri wanted to leave LSU or Baton Rouge. And I think he loves the community, and it's a place that he calls home and has embraced. I know he and his wife, Karen, had built a home here. And, so much of also I think of what had happened near the end with Paul, and he's been candid about this. Like, I remember in his retirement press conference, he talked about this. Like, he was in so much physical pain from the neck issues that he's had. People always said, man, he looks so uncomfortable in the dugout. He was. And he didn't talk about it much while he was coaching. But now like he had a very debilitating neck condition where he's had surgeries. And I think all of that just compounded into a circumstance that brought Paul Mainieri's tenure at LSU to an end. But I don't think it meant he was, he had fallen out of love with the game. I think, when one of the things always was the childlike joy he always had on an opening day and how energized he was for another day. And I'll tell you this much. I still see Coach pretty often. I shouldn't say pretty, but enough. We're just in company with a lot of different rooms and whatever it may be. And he is as sharp as he has ever been. And he's got an incredibly photographic memory. His recall, and I tell him this all the time, his recall is unmatched. I mean, you could ask Paul Maneri, he could walk into this studio right now unprepared, and I could say, Coach, remember that Tuesday game against UNO in 2017? And he'll tell me the third inning pitch sequence that whoever was on the mound was. Like, he remembers it all. So I guess what I'm saying is I think South Carolina is making a good hire because I think Paul Maneri has a lot of gas left in the tank. And at this point, 3 years out, I think it probably re-energized him. Now, the tricky part is South Carolina isn't anywhere close to the job it was when Ray Tanner left and they had won those back-to-back national titles in 10 and 11. Like, they're nowhere close to what they were at one point. And in a different era with portal and NIL, that's a very difficult job right now. And if you're firing Mark Kingston, who's been a guy who's gotten South Carolina consistently into the tournament, but you have loftier expectations, that is a really challenging job to take over that Paul Maneri is inheriting here, apparently, at age 66. But I'll wish him all the luck in the world, except for whenever he's playing LSU. But we'll wait on anything official from South Carolina to see if this does all transpire. And we'll talk about it when it does. And we'll see what Coach has to say about it. I know he'll be candid because he always is. Okay, we're going to put a button here on hour number 1. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Sports Center coming up. Then how about a little SEC football portal recap? You're going to like this.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Optimize, GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. Hey, listen, if you need your AC fixed, you call the HVAC company. If you got leaky pipes, you call a plumber. If you need a roof, you call a roofer. If you need a generator, you call the generator people. That's Optimize. GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. See, they're not an HVAC company that also sells generators, or an electrical company that also sells generators, or an alarm company that also sells generators. Optimize does one thing. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They are the generator people, and they service all of South Louisiana. So anywhere on the 1012 corridor, from Lake Charles to Slidell, anywhere in between, 4 physical locations. You might think, I can't afford that. I'd love an automatic home standby generator. If you have $600 for a down payment, they have financing options to meet any budget. So inquire today. Go to GeneratorPeople.com for Optimize, the generator people. GeneratorPeople.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Two-time defending national champion coach Dan Hurley's not going anywhere. He turned down an offer from the Lakers that would have made him one of the NBA's 6 highest-paid coaches. 6 years, $70 million, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Instead, he'll be back with the Huskies to pursue a 3rd straight title. Talks with UConn to make him one of the highest-paid NCAA coaches will continue. The Lakers now regroup and resume their process of finding a new coach, focusing in part on the future, explains Woj.
This isn't just about the next 2 years and doing everything you can to win with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. That's obviously a priority. But beyond that, developing the young players on their roster. They've got the 17th pick in this draft. Now they'll go back and, certainly, there are other coaches, qualified coaches, certainly, who can fit that criteria.
Woj on NBA Today. NFL Steelers coach Mike Tomlin signed a 3-year extension through the 2027 season. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final coming up tonight. Panthers-Oilers, 8 Eastern on ABC. Florida has a 1-game-to-none series lead.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Toby Tompley. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Will Hellmers in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll talk to Brandon Marcello of 247 Sports coming up 1 hour from right now, because Brandon Marcello, and by the way, if you're just joining us and haven't heard the bombshell news, bombshell may not be the proper way to characterize it, but Kendall Rogers over at D1 Baseball, Teddy Cahill had it first, that South Carolina was targeting Paul Mainieri to be their new head coach, and Kendall Rogers is over at D1 Baseball is reporting that South Carolina expected to name Paul Mainieri their new head coach. So we're waiting on something official from South Carolina. When that happens, we'll certainly pass it along to you. Listen, Mainieri, 1,500 career wins. He's in virtually every Hall of Fame, the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the College Baseball Hall of Fame, the Baseball Coaches American Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame. He's won a national title. He's been awesome. And it's a massive hire for South Carolina. The question obviously is at 66, how much is left in the tank for Paul Mainieri at a place that has become difficult to win. as the SEC has become more competitive, as the arms race has ramped up, as you've seen Florida and Kentucky build new stadiums, Alabama do a gut renovation of their stadium, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, all with gut renovations of their stadiums. And in the NIL era, South Carolina just isn't the program it was when Ray Tanner was there. And so that's a difficult job with tremendous expectations. So as we know more, we'll certainly tell you more and pass it along. If and when that becomes official, we'll certainly reach out to Coach as well. Okay, Will Hellmers here in about a little more than 10 minutes from right now. I found this interesting. So Brandon Marcello, who's over at 247, which is owned now by CBS Sports, has a piece up, and Brandon's going to be with us in about an hour. He's got a piece up that is looking at net ratings and player totals for every Power 4 team. So what he did was he looked at the average transfer rating, the transfers in, the transfers out, and looked at a net rating gain. Okay, so that's kind of how they sort of assessed this whole thing in the Power 4. So again, it's to say it's not as simple as just saying how many players did you lose, how many players did you gain, but the quality of the players you lost versus the quality of the players you gained to look at your net recap, for example. So, or your net gain. So, for example, in the ACC, so he did this for the Power 4. Every team in the Power 4, obviously there's no Pac-12 anymore. Florida State was at the top. 22 transfers out, but they brought in 17 transfer, and their average rating was 89.35, so their net rating gain was 3.6. Their roster increased by 3.6 points. So, for example, followed by NC State, Boston College, so on. Clemson at the very bottom in the ACC because they lost 12 guys in the portal and didn't bring in anyone in the portal. So, because you didn't bring in anybody, you can't have a net. It would just be the players that you lost. So, anyway, naturally, I was going to go look at the SEC and see how all of this transpired. And I won't bury the lead for the SEC for LSU fans who are interested. LSU came in 8th on this list with a net rating gain of 1.58. And I'll put some perspective on that. LSU saw 27 players leave, and they gained 9 transfers with an average transfer rating of 89. For context, Texas was number 1 on this list with an average transfer rating of 90.73. So not a giant disparity there in that rating, but Texas had 25 leave and brought in 11. So they had 2 fewer leave and gained 2 more. So it's a 4-player differential, slightly above average. So Texas was number 1 on the list. So a couple of things here. When I saw LSU 8th on this list, I thought to myself, that's exactly what Brian Kelly's strategy is. As he's talked about so many times, build your roster through the high school rankings, develop those high school prospects when you get to campus, and then supplement in the portal. What you don't want to see, what Brian Kelly doesn't want to see is Ole Miss. Ole Miss, by the way, is 4th on this list. 25 players out, 24 players in. Now, they were 4th on the list, so according to this metric, they improved their roster, but Kelly doesn't want to build his roster that way. He doesn't want to build his roster by bringing in 24 transfers every year. South Carolina was similar. 27 out, 22 in. Way too much flux. That's not, and again, I don't know if it's going to work. I've been very clear on this. I don't know if Brian Kelly's portal approach is going to work. Maybe what proves to work is Lane Kiffin's strategy, which is when you see the opportunity, go ham in the portal, spend your money, buy your roster, and see if you can win with it. Maybe it works. Only time and a larger sample size will tell us that. But when LSU loses 27 and gains 9, what that tells me, and you have a net rating gain that is positive, essentially saying 27 players left, only 9 came in, but you improve the quality of your roster, that tells me Brian Kelly's strategy is working. Now, will it translate to the field? That's what we have to wait and see. A couple of other things, obviously, I mentioned there a little bit. Ole Miss and Texas A&M, I think, are fascinating because Ole Miss and A&M had the biggest number of additions, right? Ole Miss lost 25, gained 24. A&M lost 31 and gained 28. Ole Miss 4th, A&M 12th as far as the net rating gain. So both, for different reasons now, A&M lost Jimbo Fisher, and so they had massive turnover on their roster. So they had to add a ton of players. But the quality of player, there's a big gap. So Ole Miss gained by 2.74, A&M gained by 0.47. So barely, their roster is barely better than it was. We talked about Texas. These are my takeaways. We talked about Texas being number 1 on the list, and like they've got comparable numbers to LSU with the numbers out, numbers in. They just added better talent very clearly, which is why their net rating gain was a 3.93. The other thing that stood out to me is where Alabama fell on the list. Because where Alabama fell on the list as we go through it, Texas was 1, Missouri was 2, Tennessee 3, Ole Miss, Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina, LSU, Auburn, Florida was 10th, still not to Bama, Arkansas, A&M, Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and right there at the bottom is where you find the Alabama Crimson Tide. Hey, Mutes, I got a question for you.
What's that?
When was the last time in your life that you ever saw Alabama ranked behind Ole Miss in anything?
It's been a long time, probably, maybe ever.
Never! Until now. Oh, y'all were pissed at me for pointing out that you went to Southern Methodist to steal a quarterback. Y'all love to point out to me, Bammers, oh, he's a 4-star. He's a good player. You lost Julian Sayin, the number 1 overall player in the class, and you replaced him with a schmuck from SMU. Don't tell me you're better, you dweebs. How about this? This is black and white. This is data. Pull up that graphic, Paulie. Look at it right there. Number 14, Mississippi State. 15, Vanderbilt. 16, Crimson Tears. Not only are they dead last, not only are you behind Vanderbilt, you're the only team in the entire SEC that's got a negative net rating. Your roster got worse than Vanderbilt. Crank it up louder. All the way, Muse. As far as that slider goes up. You look at this Alabama transfer class. Julian Sayin, 5-star, gone. Caleb Downs, 5-star, gone. Isaiah Bond, 5-star, gone. By the way, gone to Texas, too, in the league. He's going to beat him, too. They lost 3 5-stars. They lost 11 4-stars out of the portal. One of them was Seth McLaughlin, who played in 35 games with 24 starts. He went to Ohio State. I bet he's a pretty good player, right? 25 games started, good enough to go to Ohio State to be their starting center now?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. He's
pretty good, yeah?
Pretty talented, yeah, good guy.
Gone! By the way, the best signee that Alabama got in this entire portal class, you know who it is?
Who? The SMU guy.
No!
Oh.
The best signee in the class is Caden Proctor!
Oh, wait, that's right.
Their best signee is their own guy!
He went back.
Their own guy! He left and came back as their best signee! He's a good player. He's a good player, right? Probably going to be a good player at some point. That's their best one. Your best signee is your own guy. You're behind Vanderbilt. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to stare you straight in the face and say this again, all you Bammers. I'm not sitting here telling you that Alabama is going to go 5-7. I'm not telling you they're going to go winless inside of Bryant-Dennehy Stadium. I'm not telling you Kalen DeBoer is getting run out of town after 1 year. All I'm telling you is the charmed existence which you have lived for the last 2 decades with Nick Saban patrolling your sideline, the greatest coach in the history of college football. The deal he made with the devil is up. And now it has come time to pay your debts. And I will laugh my ass off when that crimson A right at the midfield logo inside of Bryant-Dennehy Stadium opens wide and the devil sucks you all to the depths of football hell. And every time you lose a game, I'm going to put my annoying Jim Carrey from Bruce Almighty struggling with Glee gif all over Twitter and every social media platform. And I'm going to watch all of you come up into my mentions and just melt. And I'm going to laugh my ass off every step of the way. You're behind Vanderbilt. Let it sink in, dweebs. Take that, Bama. Enjoy the CarQuest Bowl. Or what's the one in Orlando that we went to last year? What was that one called?
The ReliaQuest
that
Bowl.
One.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ReliaQuest Bowl. That's what 9-3 gets you. I know that life too well. It's after further review. Will Hellmers next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Get on by and see our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. Love telling you about Clegg's, and it's a great time of year. Maybe Father's Day this coming weekend, you're going to have people over to the house to celebrate Dad. You want to spice up and spruce up that outdoor area. Our friends at Clegg's can help with beautiful flowers and plants and trees and shrubs, and a lot to maybe accent your outdoor space, like tuned wind chimes and hummingbird feeders, and whatever you need to get rid of the unwanted pests. You got ant piles and wasps or mosquitoes. Remember, they got great products over there to take care of all that. I've been telling you about the Aeon mosquito barrier. Knock out mosquitoes for 90 days at a time. Simple. You just take the little tube with the granules, fill it up to the fill line, shake it up, hang it on your property line. You're done with mosquitoes 90 days at a time. It's at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
The 0-2 pitch. Called strike 3 on the outside corner. Honeycutt down on strikes. 2 gone. Hellmers comes in, records the punch out.
A day that none of us will soon forget, a performance LSU baseball fans will never forget, and certainly this guy, a day he'll never forget in his baseball life. Will Hellmers, who was the star of LSU's season-ending regional championship game against North Carolina, good enough to join us here on AFR for a couple of minutes. Will, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
Absolutely. Great, doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure.
What an intro.
Hey, man, you got to roll out the red carpet, right?
That's right.
What has the last week been like for you?
I'm still waiting for my arm to feel better, but it's been good. It's kind of setting in now that my college career has kind of come to a close for the most part. But other than that, it's been great. Obviously, we didn't want it to end like that, but we would have had a great shot against West Virginia in the Supers here in the box. But you got to live and learn, and hindsight's 20/20. But just plugging away.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had a great shot against West Virginia. Like you'd have been a heavy favorite against West Virginia. You'd probably be in Omaha right now. I mean, that does it sting more knowing the way that it likely would have ended up?
I think it hurts a little more, most definitely. We were all obviously we knew we were going to the box if we had won that game, and everybody was kind of just giving it that little extra oomph. But it definitely makes it hurt a little more. Most definitely. Did
you said you're waiting for your arm to feel better? Can you kind of explain? Like, obviously, that was the 5 2/3 was a career long, but in your baseball career and life, I'm certain you've gone that distance before. What was so different? Like, why? Just physically, is it that you just hadn't done that in so long to extend like that?
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. I guess I threw 70-something pitches. And I hadn't done that since probably maybe the fall. But other than that, in a real SEC game, I don't think I had done that in South Carolina a year ago. So just kind of ramping up like that, like quick, just kind of takes a toll on the arm and the body and whatever else.
Did you know going into that game you were going to pitch that day?
I knew I was going to have to pitch. And it was kind of the plan to kind of roll us out like that. Like Dutton was going to go inning, and then Coleman was going to go the back half of their lineup, and then I was going to come in the top and just kind of roll. And if I was going, I was just going to go. And then just piece it together after that. So I guess it worked out some way.
You went, for sure, 5 2/3. It was incredible to see. I mean, I think a lot of people have compared that maybe like to the relief performance that Devin Fonto had back in 2019 against Florida State as, one of the best performances that we've seen in a postseason, certainly in an elimination game. Do you see it that way?
To tell you the truth, I don't. Obviously, great performance and obviously what I want to do every time, but it was just another time going out there and I was pitching the same that I had, done every time before with the same mentality. It was just pitching to me, but that's about all. I mean, there's nothing more to it than that for me. It was just, trying to get the job done and give us a chance.
Was there any point in the game prior to when you got lifted that you thought you were done?
I don't think so. Well, Coach Johnson came out, I guess it was the 5th, and I kind of looked down at the pen, and Nate Ackenhausen's throwing. I'm like, oh, there's no way. I'm not done yet. And he came out, and he's like, what you want to do? And I was like, look, I got this guy. And I think it was hung a slider, and he popped it up the next pitch for the 3rd out of the inning. So he just kind of let me keep rolling. But when I walked that guy in the 8th, or I guess it was the 8th, I kind of knew. I was like, he's coming to get me. But so I wanted to keep going, but Coach made the right decisions, after me, most definitely.
Will Hellmers is our guest. Did you think you could have finished the game?
There's part of me that does. I had the juices rolling, most definitely. Adrenaline was pumping, but, I wanted to. Obviously, I never wanted to go out of the game, but it goes both ways, I guess, two-way street.
Yeah. As a guy from Louisiana, you're kind of the guy that every LSU fan loves, like a program guy from the state that Will, you tell me if I'm wrong on this. I mean, just would have given your arm to play at LSU. And, it's so easy to root for those guys who come through the program. Did you ever think about leaving for an opportunity where you would have had an opportunity to throw more innings?
That never crossed my mind. Being from New Orleans and Baton Rouge was always close. It was a second home to me, and there was never a thought where I was going to go anywhere else. I was going to be a Tiger from when I started to when I finished my college career. With the portal, and that's great, and I respect everybody that does that, but that just wasn't me. I wanted to be a Tiger from the start to the finish, most definitely.
Speaking of where it started, we talked. Can you now? Like, statute of limitations is over. Your career is done. Can we talk about you playing third base?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay. Please help me with this. Like, just go. Talk about that, please. Like, what happened?
All right. I can go way back if you want.
Yes, please. I got time.
So my junior year, after I got an offer from LSU, I was hitting great at Jesuit. Senior season, throwing great, hitting great. Season get canceled because of COVID. And I started hitting in the summer, and I was hitting bombs the whole summer. And so I show up to LSU as a freshman in August, and there's a bat in my locker. I'm like, whoa, all right, okay. I can do this. And so Coach Emery brings me to his office, and he's like, hey, I really just want to give you a shot to hit. Saw how you hit over the summer, and we want to give you a chance to hit. He's like, you don't have to play a position. You're just going to pitch. You're going to hit. You don't have to worry about playing a position. So that whole fall and leading up to the season in the spring, I had hit and pitched. Honestly, I was hitting great. I was a 300 hitter, and I was throwing the ball great. And so we get 3 weeks before the season, and we get a problem at third base. We had Dylan Cruz fielding ground balls at third base 3 weeks before the season. And Jordan Thompson was struggling and all that different stuff. Every once in a while, I'd fill in an inter-squad playing first base. And 3 weeks before the season, Coach Emery comes up to me and he's like, hey, you ever play third base in high school? And I was like, yeah, Coach. I played a junior year, a little bit senior year. I was like, all right, go over there and take some ground balls. And so I go over there after practice, and he's watching, and everybody's watching. I look like A-Rod. It was awesome. And fielding ground balls, backhands, slow rollers, throwing it perfect over there. And he calls me up after I finished. He said, man, that was awesome. And next morning, I wake up and can't smell. can't smell, can't taste anything. I got COVID.
Mm.
And so, at that time with COVID, you were out for 2 weeks no matter what. So that leaves you with a week before the season. And so I get back from COVID, the little vacation, I guess. And I'm like, there's no way I'm, even being thought of at third base anymore. Coach Emery brings me into his office, and he's like, I think you're going to be our starting third baseman. And I'm like, all right, folks, let's go. This is awesome. And I was fired up. And it was awesome. And I took ground balls that whole week. But my problem was I took ground balls on the LSU football indoor because LSU had canceled school that week because it was frozen over, so we couldn't practice on dirt.
Mm.
And so, I looked great on turf. No bad hops, no nothing. And then the incident, happened Friday and Saturday. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. Everybody hated me real quick, so I got over that.
No, man. Nobody, come on. Like, that was an impossible. It was fun. No, even like, Will, even now having the context that you gave us, like, even with that context, it makes even with or without the context, it still was an impossible thing to think. So, by the way, you do a really good Paul Maneri impression. Like, do you work on that?
Do I?
Not bad.
I've tried.
Okay.
Had to do it a few times.
Did you see the news a bit ago that Coach is apparently going to be hired at South Carolina to be their new head coach?
I just saw that on Twitter right before y'all called. That's great. Good for him. It's funny. I actually saw him fishing in Grand Isle this weekend for a rodeo, and he came up to me and asked me if I had any eligibility left. So I was kind of curious.
Interesting. Well, there you go. I guess that's your answer, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't asking for a friend. He was asking for himself.
I don't think so. But who knows?
Will Hellmers, just a couple more minutes, man, and we'll have to do this again, man. So I appreciate your time, and that's a hell of a story, man. Like, I don't think I've ever heard the full third base story, but man, what you bookended your career with some pretty dramatic outings. Like, dude, you actually think about it. What's next for you? I mean, draft, I guess, in July. What are you looking? Are you looking to continue your career?
Yeah, I mean, God's plan is open for me. I think, if my name's called, then I'll go. If not, then I'm content as well, finishing my career like that. But we'll see what happens in July and then go from there, most definitely.
Would you, if you don't get drafted, would you sign and get an opportunity to go play somewhere where it's independent ball just to continue playing?
I haven't really thought about that too much, to tell you the truth. Definitely an option. I'm just kind of running through all the options in my head here as baseball's finished from LSU.
Well, man, you bookended your career with some dramatics, and it was a lot of fun to watch, man. With the punctuation against North Carolina is, like I said, we open, man. Nobody's ever going to forget that one. What a way to go out on an individual level. Wish the result for the team had been a little better that day. But this was fun, man. We'll have to do it again. I can't thank you enough for taking some time and for having some fun and for your candor.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
It's our pleasure. Be well. That is Will Hellmers. I guess I could say former LSU pitcher Will Hellmers. I did not intend to go to how it began. To talk about like I had my list of what I was going to ask him about, but I'm glad I did. That was an amazing story. A lot of which the details I didn't know, but I think the way he started his career and the way he finished his career, pretty dramatic. I mean, pretty amazing. I'd have to think about someone who was around that long in the program, his 4 seasons, and if anybody else had as dramatic a start and finish as he did, give it some thought. But appreciate Will Hellmers for a couple of minutes. Okay, let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We are brought to you by Parish Restoration. Mold Zero, Pure Restoration, now Parish Restoration, all the same thing. My partners with Parish, Richard Tilley, Ryan Terrell, heard me talking about Mold Zero Pure Restoration all these years. They went and partnered with Jim Woodworth. Now they're all under the Parish banner. So Same patented non-toxic dry fog, just everything's under the Parish banner now. So if you go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt, P-A-R-I-S-H, parishbuilt.com, hit the restoration tab there on the main page. You'll see all the info about the patented non-toxic dry fog. You want to kill mold, remove odor. Listen, maybe you had water intrusion and you need to spray afterwards for mold. Maybe you're not sure if you have mold. Maybe you got odor maybe it's from pets or from smoke or any type of odor, that sweat, right? If it's a gym or a workout facility, you want to get rid of that, easy. Let them come in. They'll spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. They do tremendous work in the greater New Orleans area as well. So I know a lot of our listeners on 100.3 ESPN New Orleans have called Parish Restoration as well. You should do it for your commercial or your residential building. It's going to be more cost-effective and it's going to be more efficient. It's Parish Restoration. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com, and hit the restoration tab. Okay, let me break. When we come back, I will catch you up on the baseball portal news. 7 LSU players have entered the portal, and they did get their first portal commit today. So we'll get to that, and we'll talk some college football with Brandon Marcello of 247 Sports in about 36 minutes. Matthew Brune will be here next hour as well from On 3. LSU and Matt McMahon are set to host the number 1 player in the portal for this cycle coming up here in a few weeks. We'll get to that actually next week. We'll get to that coming up. Glad you're aboard with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel. Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Was actually in downtown Baton Rouge this past weekend. Watermark was hopping. It is a great spot. And I want to share this with you. Something I probably should mention more. The Sunday brunch at the Watermark, at the Gregory, is amazing. I want to give a big shout out to our coworker, Scotty Mack, who's on Eagle 98.1. He texted me Sunday and said, Matt, my wife and I just did our anniversary brunch at the Gregory. Outstanding. I had poached eggs. Melanie had scrambled. Some of the best bacon ever. We shared the grits and griots. Ate like kings for $40 each, and that included 2 mimosas. I was like, first of all, I said happy anniversary, and I love to hear that. If you love to do Sunday brunch, remember the Gregory. And if you're worried about parking downtown, don't, because when you eat at the Gregory, it's complimentary valet parking. So pull up to the front, they'll valet your car, you walk right in. It's the Gregory at the Watermark Hotel.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
What a day, man. Didn't think we'd be talking about Paul Mainieri, South Carolina head baseball coach Paul Mainieri. But if you're just joining us and haven't heard, Teddy Cahill from Baseball America was the first to report the interest between Paul Mainieri and South Carolina. And Kendall Rogers just a bit ago reporting that Paul Mainieri is expected to be the new head coach at South Carolina. And I'm just looking, here's a few more tidbits. Kendall said, I don't think we're done on the coaching carousel today. Let's see, just a couple other notes from Kendall here. Again, this is developing as we move through the show. So Kendall notes, the move to hire Paul Mainieri has caused shockwaves across college baseball. First heard about the possibility a few days ago. Assumed the Gamecocks would go with different options. Mainieri most recently was in the mix for Miami and Notre Dame jobs. He also notes that all intentions from the South Carolina side is they'd like to keep top assistant Monty Lee in the fold as an assistant in Columbia. Will take some work from the Gamecocks, he notes, but their preferred route would be for Monty to stay. So we're waiting on an official announcement from South Carolina, but it looks like Paul Mainieri is getting back in the game there in Columbia as the head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. It's been a busy portal stretch here for LSU as well. So far, 7 players from the LSU baseball team have hit the portal. We've talked about essentially all of them except a couple this weekend that jumped in with Cam Johnson and Nick Bronzini. So as of right now, Zeb Ruddle, Derek Mitchell, Austin Rolig, Micah Bucknam, Nick Bronzini, Aiden Moffitt, Cam Johnson. Those are the 7 in the portal. Of the 7, Cam Johnson is obviously the most significant loss. And I've seen some of this from LSU fans since that news broke. Well, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Good riddance. I don't care how hard you throw if you can't throw strikes. Yeah, I got it. Yes. Cam Johnson struggled mightily with his command this year. But he throws 98 from the left side. You can coach someone to throw strikes. You can work on command. You can't coach someone to throw 100 from the left side. How often do you ever see that in college baseball? I mean, we've had scouts on the show tell us his horizontal break would be top 10 in the major leagues right now, and he's 100 from the left side. That's why he's the highest rated prospect ever to show up on campus. Don't kid yourself into thinking that's not a big deal just because he didn't perform as a freshman. He was great in the fall, and once he stood on a mound in front of 10,000 people, the moment was a little too big. That happens to a lot of 18-year-olds. Let him grow and develop and see what happens. You better hope that he goes to Florida State and not to A&M or Tennessee or one of the other big spenders in the portal, Arkansas, because like we talk all the time with transfers or recruits from the state that you might miss out on, if they leave, it's disappointing, but you want them to go far away where you never see them again. The worst thing that could happen is Cam Johnson goes somewhere in the SEC and comes back and sticks it to you. So I wish him well. I do. I wouldn't wish poorly upon a young person trying to achieve whatever they want in life. But if you're kidding yourself today, trying to convince yourself that's not a big deal, you're naive. And that's foolish. Because as far as I know, I don't think LSU's ever had a lefty that throws 100 on their baseball roster before. I could be wrong, but they don't come around often, and losing that one stinks. Now, I know a lot of people said, when is LSU going to start to get good news in the portal? Well, if you're watching Morning Scone over the weekend, which some of you do, it's a live stream I do every morning, like literally every morning. Was told to expect good news at the beginning of this week, and that obviously came today, as LSU has landed its first commitment in this portal cycle. So Chandler Dorsey has committed to LSU from South Florida. Last year with the Bulls, he was their closer, made 26 appearances through 30 innings pitched, a 3.60 ERA, 41 strikeouts, 16 walks. So what would his role be in Baton Rouge? I don't know. If he's coming in to be a dedicated closer, if he's just going to be a back end of the bullpen guy, I don't know. But 2 years in Tampa with South Florida, he's now transferring into LSU in what would be his draft year. So it makes sense, right? You spend 2 years at a lower level, you perform well, let's move up to the SEC. If you can perform at this level, it obviously makes you more appealing to scouts in a draft year. Or is he trying to maybe work into the starter mix? We'll see how all that transpires. So, a couple of conversations I had over the weekend is that there are primarily five elite prospects in the portal right now. And, the handful of teams that are in the mix for all of them, I'll just read this text to you. Tennessee, Texas A&M, Arkansas, LSU, Texas are the five teams that are in the mix for all five of the premier players in the portal right now. And I was told that both Tennessee and Texas A&M have made larger NIL offers to those players. And, a couple of years ago we sat here and I told you LSU had the biggest NIL budget, and who was after LSU was roughly half the NIL budget that LSU had. That has changed very clearly. I mean, A&M gave Braden Montgomery $750K was the number I was told for this year. So that's changed, as a lot of the big spenders are spending in NIL in baseball now, as well as complementing football and basketball. So last Monday when we sat here, Tuesday after the LSU season ended, and we ran through the roster, told you Cam Johnson was one you had to keep an eye on, that he was going to have a decision to make, because I've been hearing for the past couple of weeks that he was likely to enter the portal. Brady Neal's another guy that I've heard a lot of that same scuttle about. We're going to see what happens there. Again, I'm not reporting anything. I'm not telling you it's going to happen, but it's just explaining that you're in an era where guys have decisions to make. Do you come back, vie for a role? Do you go somewhere where you're guaranteed to play and you get some NIL? Do you stay in the role you're in? It's just decisions guys have to make. And Griffin Herring is going to have a decision to make. The thing I think that benefits LSU with respect to Griffin Herring is that he's a reliever. And one of the conversations I had this weekend with a scout was that relievers don't get more than $500K in the draft. And so that means, if you're somewhere in the top 4 rounds and at the top end of that, you'd get $500K. If you're Griffin Herring, do you go into the draft and see if you max out there? Or do you come back for an opportunity to start and win a job in the rotation? If you win a job in the rotation, pitch well, then you make yourself more money. So probably lean toward Griffin Herring returning and try to win a job in the rotation, because he, as a draft eligible sophomore, next year you could still have leverage. But these are guys that are all going to have decisions to make as we move throughout June and toward the draft in July. And the other thing, too, is I know a lot of people have asked, why you keep seeing players leave. Why isn't LSU getting more commitments? Remember, when Paul Skeens committed to LSU, that was on July 29th. Tennessee and Texas A&M and Florida State and all those, they're still playing baseball. A year ago, LSU was still playing baseball. We were more concerned with Omaha than we were the portal. Because LSU is idle right now, we're hyper-focused on the portal because they're not playing games. You got time. Jay Johnson is an amazing recruiter. They're going to be fine. Just be patient. But the first domino fell today with Chandler Dorsey committed to the Tigers from South Florida. Okay, we now got a final break here of hour number 2. We'll come back. Muse will have Tigers in the pros. Brandon Marcello, Matthew Brune next hour, and tons of reaction to all the baseball news today as well. So stay with us here on AFR.
AFR.
Last week, I got to introduce you to Duplessis Builders. Derek Duplessis and his staff that do an amazing job. And I love if you go to the website, there's a quote on the homepage from Gucci. It's duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. And the quote reads, "Quality is remembered long after price is forgotten." And that matters, because at Duplessis, when they come to build your pool, They're never going to rush the process. I've told you about Derek Duplessis and his engineering background. Graduated from LSU in mechanical engineering, has a minor in aerospace engineering. Like he explained, it takes 21 days for gunite to cure. That is the the chemical requirement for concrete. 21 days. He is never going to rush the process. That's why he offers a lifetime workmanship guarantee. It's Duplessis Builders. Online, duplessisbuilders.net.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today. Or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
We'll get Tigers in the pros just a quick second. There is a little more breaking news. Again, if you've missed the big story of the day, Kendall Rogers had it first, but everyone's reporting Paul Maneri set to be the head coach over at South Carolina. Chris Clegg is reporting. This is just breaking right now. I've been told Paul Maneri will bring his former assistant Terry Rooney as pitching coach at South Carolina. Rooney, of course, currently director of program development and recruiting at LSU. He also notes Monty Lee is said to be part of the staff. Formal announcement tomorrow by South Carolina. So it looks like Terry Rooney, after 1 year back at LSU, will be heading with Paul Maneri to South Carolina. Okay, Muse, Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Hey, the UFL championship is set. Danny Etling and the Michigan Panthers, they fell just short, but Etling completed 62% of his passes in the game for 182 yards with a touchdown. Did unfortunately throw 3 interceptions that contributed a little bit to the pitfalls of his team in that one. On the other side, Jontre Kirkland is heading to the UFL championship. 5 catches, 61 yards for his efforts with the San Antonio Brahmas. Also had a couple carries in the ballgame and a couple tackles in the ballgame for John Trey Kirkland as well, doing a little bit of everything. And we'll keep you updated there with the UFL Championship game. Jake Slaughter on the move in minor league ball was traded from the Cubs to the Mariners, so he's now in AAA Tacoma with the Rainers. 1 for 4 last night in the ballgame with a run scored and also drew a walk. That also means he's teammates with Michael Papierski. And Pap, little 2 for 4 action last night with the RBI. We'll wrap it up with Cam Sanders. Cam closed out the ball game last night for the Tennessee Smokies. Shutout inning the ball with a strikeout. That is Tigers and Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, thrill her with a gift in the red box. Or ladies, how about a gift for him on Father's Day? Beautiful watches, other timepieces, writing instruments, something for everybody over at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. So start to explore at LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, or head on into any of the Lee Michaels locations, 9 in all, 2 in Baton Rouge, Corporate Boulevard in Bocage, Mall of Louisiana, also New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport. Check it out online, LMFJ.com. Great ideas for Dad. Right there on the flipper. It says Celebrate Dad. There's a flipper right there on the homepage. Tap that. See some great ideas to celebrate Dad on Father's Day, which is this Sunday. Don't forget about Dad. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, y'all. Man, what a day. I mean, no shortage of news, obviously. John Emery coming back to LSU. Saints Minicamp opening tomorrow. Paul Maneri apparently is headed to South Carolina. He's taking Terry Rooney with him. According to reports, there's comings and goings in the portal for LSU baseball. We're diving into all that. If you missed Will Hellmers earlier this hour, he was fantastic. You can catch that on demand, of course, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Let me knock out our final break here. We'll hit Sports Center. When we come back, Brandon Marcello from 247 Sports will be with us. We'll talk some more portal. What a day. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Y'all, vacation season is upon us. A lot of people are hitting the road this time of year. Before you do, make sure your family vehicle is ready and safe to hit the road to get your family to your vacation destination. Shawbills can help. Of course, if you need an oil change or your tires rotated or if the brakes are squeaking or the check engine light's on or you need the tune-up, Shawbills can handle all of that. So go to the website to schedule your service. Go to ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. You can hit the Schedule Service tab right there on the homepage. Select the location nearest you. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, you're set. And if you need tires, if it's time to buy tires, remember, Shawbills is going to sell you the best tires on the road for the cheapest price possible. They guarantee it. It's part of the Charlie's Dozen. It's the Charlie's Price Match Guarantee. So if you need tires or service on your vehicle, shop Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. A major decision's been made impacting both the NBA and college basketball. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Dan Hurley turned down the Lakers' 6-year, $70 million offer to become their coach. He confirmed that he will be back with Connecticut, pursuing a third consecutive national title. Hurley and UConn will continue discussions to make him one of the highest-paid NCAA coaches. This is a great day for college athletics, in the opinion of ESPN college basketball analyst Seth Greenberg.
As much turmoil as our collegiate athletics are under right now, I think this is a really good sign that a person like Dan Hurley could take the Lakers, one of the three, to me, iconic brands in the NBA, and say, I am really appreciative of your interest, but my heart, my soul, my family, my team, I'm going back to UConn.
Lakers will resume bringing in candidates for interviews with the hope of hiring a coach by the NBA draft later this month. NFL Steelers coach Mike Tomlin signed a 3-year extension through the 2027 season. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight. The Panthers up 1-0 host the Oilers 8 Eastern on ABC.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You and Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Big story of the day, if you haven't heard yet, Paul Maneri, former LSU baseball coach, in line to be the next head coach at South Carolina. Apparently taking Terry Rooney with him to be his pitching coach. Formal announcement expected tomorrow. Kendall Rogers had the news first. Much more reaction to that as we move throughout the hour. Ran across this over the weekend, was really interested by it. Brandon Marcello did a good job over at 247. And it's a transfer portal recap where they kind of put a metric to this net rating gain of who you lost, who you gained, and how you did in the portal. And Brandon's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Brandon, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Really well. Can you first just start by explaining how you got to the number, like the metric that we see on the screen?
Yeah, I'm trying to be as scientific as possible in a unscientific world of sports.
Sure.
So I just took what our analysts at 24/7 Sports, their average player rating for every single player that left the team and the average rating for every player that joined the team in our transfer portal rankings at 24/7 Sports. And I just took the net difference between those two numbers. So you would probably want to add some type of element to the formula, a variable of sorts, considering not everybody brings in the same amount of players as they do that they lose. But it's still a closer metric, I believe, than what you just see in the transfer portal rankings, like, Colorado being number one. That doesn't take into fact that they lost 42 players to the portal.
Right.
So when I looked at this, I just decided I'm going to do it this way. I've been doing it for the last 3 years or so, and I think it's a little bit more of an accurate picture of just the quality of players that a team brings in while trying to make sense of the quantity aspect and a separate aspect of all it all.
What, when you looked at the SEC, and you did this for all the Power Four, by the way, so it's we're obviously in Baton Rouge, and a lot of people are focused on LSU and the SEC, but I have some other questions. But specifically with the SEC, what was the thing that jumped off the page as you crunched the numbers this year?
Yeah, well, number one, it's very hard to not actually upgrade your roster if you're a Power Four team in the portal, no matter what you lose as far as quality of players. Because the reality is, and no one really says this, but the reality is you are losing mostly depth pieces and backup players to the portal. You're just not going to lose a superstar player all that often unless you have a coaching change like an Alabama had recently. But having said that, these teams mostly upgrade. And very rarely does anyone in the Power Four actually downgrade their roster through the portal. And the same could be said in the SEC, where you go up and down the new look league right now, and more than half of the teams upgraded their roster by more than 1 point. So why is that a big issue, a big thing to really look at? Well, because in the transfer portal rankings, 1 point can be the difference between being a 4-star guy and a 5-star guy, or a 3-star guy to a 4-star guy. And so for that matter, when you look at it, at our top, 8 or 9 teams in the SEC, they're averaging blue chip type players, 4-star type players when they bring in, which is substantial compared to obviously the rest of the sport.
Brandon Marcello is with us, national college football reporter for 24/7 Sports. He's on Twitter at @bmarcello. This is the SEC transfer portal or college football transfer portal recap for the Power Four. Bama was dead last in the SEC, the only school that had a negative rating. That caught my eye. What do you make of it, if anything?
Yeah, it's very slight too, right? It's only minus 0.48 points, which is half a point. And you got to consider they lost 40 players. They only brought 15 in, so that's a substantial widened gap. But that's not in consideration in this rating. I think what's most shocking about all this is that they lost 40 players, but their average rating was still super high at 90.55. That tells you that they didn't just lose a lot of guys, but they lost 4- and 5-star type players from high school ranks all the way up over the last 2 to 3 years that they've developed in that program. And of course, as we all know, they were really hit hard in the secondary, which is not all that surprising since that was Nick Saban's pet project back there. He had 11 departures from the secondary this year, including, of course, Caleb Downs going to Ohio State. Now, Alabama was able to, fill some holes there. They're still going to be a top 10 team, top 5, maybe top 8 team in the rankings of the preseason because that program was absolutely stacked. And I would argue that there's maybe 3 or 4 programs that could have taken a hit in the portal like they did this year and still be a ranked team, someone substantial in that aspect. And that's Bama, Georgia, and probably Ohio State. Those are the only programs out there, when I look at the depth piece of it, could take a big hit like Alabama and still be standing tall in the preseason.
Thoughts on LSU?
LSU kind of did what they needed to do. I think the thing with LSU, though, is that in the offseason, we just saw some of the big names leaving, whether through the NFL or to the portal, and I think everybody grouped them all together thinking, oh, boy, they took a big hit. But I think what LSU's really trying to do is they're trying to go out and get the high school kids, bring them there, and develop them, right? So they lost 27 guys to the portal this year. They only brought in 9, but the net rating gain for them was plus 1.58, which ranks 8th in the SEC right now. I thought they did a really good job in getting a safety out there in Gilbert from Texas A&M. I think C.J. Daniels is the guy to really keep an eye on there at receiver. I don't think he's getting enough talk outside the state of Louisiana right now. But again, it's all going to come down to the depth pieces. does that, all those departures, the 27 guys, and the 18-player differential there in the portal, does that hurt the depth piece for them going into this season against that schedule?
Brandon, as you put all these numbers together in the Power Four, was there one school, maybe more than any other, in any that caught your eye for one reason or another, good or bad?
Ohio State. I knew they did a good job in the portal. I didn't realize how good of a job they did. They are by far number one in the country in differential. I'd have to pull it up right now to see what the exact score was, but it was over plus 5 points.
Yeah, 5.62.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm telling you, if they don't make a run in the playoff this year, that staff is going to be under so much fire. That fan base is going to be livid. I don't know if you make changes up at the top, but they have built that program to be a championship-type team. They need to be in the Big Ten hunt. They need to beat Michigan. They need to be a playoff team, and they need to make a run into the playoff and maybe win the national championship. They have done everything right in recruiting, everything right in the portal, and you go hire Chip Kelly as your offensive coordinator. Boy, you better go win and win big this year. The pressure is on.
I guess the only thing that motivates Ohio State boosters more than losing is Michigan winning. Is that a fair way to say it?
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, can you imagine not only losing to Michigan again in back-to-back-to-back years, but to do so against a whole new coaching staff? With all that talent they left, that I think that would be enough that they would be able to, talk themselves into making a change with Ryan Day, even if he were to win 10 or 11 games again this year.
He is Brandon Marcello, national college football reporter for 24/7 Sports, on Twitter at @BMarcello. Y'all give him a follow. Hey, we'll see you up in Dallas here next month for Media Days, yeah?
Yeah, I can't wait. All-Star Week, too. I can't believe it.
I know. We kind of lucked out with a lot going on there, man. We're looking forward to it. And we just missed the Tyson fight as well. The Tyson-Jake Paul fight was supposed to be the Saturday after Media got moved, so it was going to be there in Arlington at Jerry World. So I was actually planning on staying and trying to go to the fight, but I guess Tyson got sick and they moved it. So yeah, a lot going on in Dallas around those times.
Well, we can drink we can mix some vodka with prime drinks at night and celebrate the Paul family.
Looking forward to it, man. Hey, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
All right, see you, Matt.
Be well. That's Brandon Marcello. We're brought to you by Parish Construction and Roofing. Visit parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Fire it up, man. For 3.5 years, I've told you, do business with someone you know. That hasn't changed. It's still me. It's still Richard Tilley, still Ryan Terrio, still Joe Morales. We've added Trent Davis to the crew. All of our same crews that come to your house, all of our same inspectors, still Christina who answers the phone. We got the same phone number, 364-1007, 364-1007. We just started a new company, Parish Construction and Roofing, and we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. So go to the website, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. You can fill out the form there on the homepage. We'll send an inspector to your house. And the best way to say it, man, a lot of times you have roof damage that you can't spot from the ground. That's why you should always get that free, no obligation roofing inspection. We'll send someone out, and if there is damage, we'll help you file the claim, and we'll handle everything from start to finish. We'll file the claim. We'll meet your insurance adjuster. We'll get the claim approved. We'll replace your roof. All you got to do is pick out shingle color and enjoy your new roof. It's Parish Construction and Roofing. Visit parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Okay. Appreciate Brandon Marcello for a couple of minutes there. He's on point about Ohio State. The fascinating factor in college football this year, in my opinion, is going to be just the schedule changes with the new leagues. We saw what happened with the American Athletic Conference teams moving into the Big 12. And the Big 12 was the weakest among what remains the Power Four, but UCF and Cincinnati and SMU, like all those teams that moved in, struggled. Houston struggled. BYU, they finished in the bottom of the league. So now the other ones, like SMU going into the ACC and the other Pac-12 schools that are now going into the ACC, and the Pac-10 or Pac-12 schools going into the Big Ten, Texas and OU coming into the SEC. As each of those make a step up in competition, how much does it affect not only them, but also a deeper, more talented league now? So you look at Ohio State with, of course, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington coming into the Big Ten. Does that negatively affect the Big Ten, or do those teams coming in from Pac-12 take it on the chin a little bit more. All that is going to be fascinating to watch as we get closer to the season. But Brandon does a great job. We appreciate a couple of minutes from him. Okay. Well, now I got a quick break. Come back. Again, we're still following the biggest news of the day. If you've been with us, I know this sounds repetitive, but I understand the nature of live radio as well, which is people are constantly in and out of their cars. If you haven't heard the news today, Paul Maneri, first reported by Kendall Rogers, expected to be named the new head baseball coach at South Carolina, taking Terry Rooney with him to be his pitching coach. Of course, Rooney was on Maneri's staff during the 2009 championship, and I guess Rooney came actually after the 2009 championship. Or did he leave before? He was gone before. Yeah, he was gone before, and he went to UCF to be the head coach. I think he missed it by a year. Yeah. So, anyway, Terry Rooney was back here on Jay Johnson's staff this year. Looks like he's going with Paul Maneri to be the pitching coach there at South Carolina. We'll get more when we have it. Okay, it's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Go to getgordon.com. Getgordon.com. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Again, go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, or at getgordon on any of the social media platforms. So much cool content up right now with members of the G team. And last week was the G team night over at the Baton Rouge Rougarou game. We talk about it all the time, man. Gordon has done a great job supporting local athletes, and members of the Tiger team from Gavin Guidry and Bear Jones and Josh Pearson and Alex Milazzo and Hayden Travinsky were all out there for the Rougarou game and repping their G team Get Gordon gear. So get your hands on one of those 8888 hats or any of the Get Gordon shirts or caps, plenty of it. But remember, most importantly, if you've been injured in an accident, you need representation, you need the best. You need Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. GetGordon.com. Get Gordon. Get it done.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Last month, LSU basketball got a commitment from big man Noah Boyd. We had Matt McMahon on the show to talk about it because from a roster standpoint, remember, this is the last year LSU's down a scholarship as a result of the self-imposed sanctions, and they're already at their limit. This is what Matt McMahon said when I asked him about it last month.
That's my responsibility. I got to figure it out. We needed the personnel, and we will find a way to make it work within the rules.
And now we get word that LSU is set to host the number one player in the transfer portal in Coleman Hawkins out of Illinois. So if LSU lands him, makes the numbers even more complicated. Matthew Brune on 3, covers the Tigers. Good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Matthew, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. The it's getting hotter by the day, so I'm trying to survive it.
Hey, man, it's just living in Louisiana this time of year. Fires me up, actually. Okay. All right, so first things first, how do they make these numbers work?
I think we've seen it become more prominent, obviously, as the NIL era has continued to evolve. But the walk-on situation, as we know, is not really a walk-on situation. I think last year with Hunter Dean, LSU was able to bring him on, not on scholarship. Like you said, they were down a scholarship last year, and they are once again. And they were able to kind of help him out to where, obviously, he wasn't having to pay for school out of pocket for the most part. So that's the same thing that's happening with Noah Boyd, like you mentioned, the 7-footer that they added from JUCO. And if they add Coleman Hawkins, I am interested in do they put him on scholarship and take off a guy maybe like Jai Bailey that they added from Richmond, or do they put him or make him a quote-unquote walk-on and pay for his way? So it's a couple ways they can do it. I think we see it in football a lot. I think a lot of people are concerned with that. I think the NCAA is looking into that, but at the moment, you can take, as many walk-ons as you want, really, and just kind of pay their way.
So should I read into that, Matthew, that LSU basketball in the NIL space is coming of age, so to speak?
Yeah, I think the situation as a whole is significant for LSU men's basketball because last year at this time, and even honestly going into this summer, everything that I had heard and everything that, you see from this team and this program is that they're not on the level NIL-wise of a Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, Auburn, go down the list. And I think the team that they put together this year, even without Coleman Hawkins, is excellent. I think it's the most talented team Matt McMahon has had. But it's merely the fact that they're able to entertain Coleman Hawkins, and if they get him on a visit and, try to swoop him over to Baton Rouge, I think it does say something about, hey, we can compete and maybe pull off some of these high-ranking transfer portal players and outbid or at least bid to the same degree of some of the other teams across the country. Kansas State just hosted Coleman Hawkins, and I'm positive that they're going to be throwing around plenty of money at him, and it would be nice for LSU to compete with a team like Kansas State that is a basketball school for the most part.
Let's talk about Hawkins. I can look at the stat line, right? Averaged 12 and 6 last year at Illinois. He's number one transfer player in the portal. What kind of player is he?
Yeah, he's a really, really good player. I think as a four-man, I watched him in the NBA Combine, and he was one of the best players on the court in the first scrimmage that they played. They have 2 days of scrimmages. And the first day, I think he was getting interviewed by ESPN after the fact, had a really strong showing. Most people thought he would stay in the draft. Most people thought he was, somewhere in the 40s, mid-second round pick. And he has 4 years of experience at Illinois. He has the COVID year still to use. So that's what gave him the ability to come back. I think if he comes to LSU, we're talking about a guy that immediately becomes the best player on the team. And I understand Jalen Reed is a very, very good, Tyrell Ward, Mark Sears, Jordan Sears, sorry. But
I wish it was Mark Sears.
Yeah, no, not Mark Sears from Alabama. But yeah, I think he's an incredibly versatile player, strong rebounder, strong defender, just a presence that honestly LSU hasn't really had since like Tari Eason in terms of skilled guy that can kind of do a lot at the forward position. So that would be significant for LSU.
Shot blocker?
He can contest shots. I think he's more of a 4 than a 5. I would like him next to Jalen Reed. I would like him, in that front court with another guy that has some size to where he doesn't have to do as much of that. But I think just what we saw at Illinois, he kind of became a lot more efficient shooting the ball on the offensive side of the ball. So that's where I'm excited. If they get him, that's where I would be excited to see him grow.
If LSU lands Coleman Hawkins, would that be it? Would they be done with the roster?
I would think so. That would put them at 14 guys that can legitimately play Division I basketball, which is more than enough considering they only have 12 scholarships to use. Noah Boyd, I thought was going to be the end of it when they added him from the junior college ranks, and I thought that was a pretty good addition. A 7-footer that's still pretty raw, but at the very least can kind of maybe come in and do a little bit of what Hunter Dean did last year. But if they get a Coleman Hawkins, I think they now have a surplus at the forward position, and then they took 3 transfers in the backcourt that really shored them up. So I would love the roster if they added Hawkins.
He's on Twitter at Matthew Brune _ on 3 the Bengal Tiger. Before you go, I think it's pretty obvious this is Matt McMahon's best roster since he's been here. But that's a pretty obvious statement. How good is this roster? Meaning, what would be a realistic expectation if everything came together for this team?
Yeah, so last year I went into the season saying the ceiling was about 9-9 and 9-9 in conference play.
Sure. And
they reached that mark. Now, to be fair, they didn't have the non-conference season that would pair with a team that usually goes 9-9 in the SEC. But I think when looking at this roster, even without Coleman Hawkins, I think you could start it by setting the floor at 9-9 in SEC play. So I think 9 to 10 wins in the SEC is very attainable. For me, this year becomes a lot more about the non-conference and taking a step forward in that area to where you're not getting blown out by Syracuse, Kansas State, so on and so forth.
Losing to Nichols?
That was exactly what I was going to say. But yeah, you take a step forward in the non-conference to where you give yourself that wiggle room to go 9-9 in conference and make the NCAA tournament. And I think this roster is very much capable of doing that. I love the experience, the transfers that they added. I think this is definitely his most talented roster, especially considering last year they didn't have Jalen Cook for most of the year.
Yeah. Man, if they get Coleman Hawkins, that'd be a pretty sizable cherry on top. He's Matthew Brune from On 3 on Twitter at Matthew Brune _ Y'all give him a follow. We appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. Anytime.
All right, man. It's our pleasure. There was an interview that Coleman Hawkins did at the draft combine. I want you to hear this in just a second. This might be a tell that he could be a heavy LSU lean. I'll get to that in just a second. I want to remind you about Supper Club, supperclubbtr.com for reservations. Hey, y'all, Father's Day is this weekend. Treat Dad like a king. Take him to Supper Club this weekend. Supperclubbtr.com for your reservations. Supperclubbtr.com for reservations. Hey, look, I told you last week, got to go to Supper Club on Wednesday, got to sample their new items. Oh, my, y'all, the veal parm. I'm still dreaming about it. Y'all, I had a steak over there that from a farm that's 400 years old that they used to feed to the samurai because they believed it had magical powers. I got to eat an herb beef strip that is literally only available at 3 places in the United States, 2 in New York and Supper Club. That's not an exaggeration. Like that, they have those experiences at Supper Club. If you want to go get an amazing piece of fish or scallops or prime filet, apps, a couple of sides, a bottle of wine, you could do that for the same price that you would at any other fine dining restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club and the options to have a one-of-a-kind, literally, experience are only at Supper Club. It's supperclubbtr.com for reservations. Supperclubbtr.com for reservations. Closed today. Open up Tuesday to Saturday and book your reservation for Father's Day at supperclubbtr.com. So here was Coleman Hawkins. I saw this over the weekend. So I missed this when it happened. So at the NBA draft combine a few weeks back, Coleman Hawkins is doing an interview, and this is courtesy of WCIA News. I'm not sure where WCIA is, but it's WCIA Channel 3, a CBS affiliate. And this is Coleman Hawkins talking to reporters about his next destination. Now remember, played at Illinois, so he's leaving Illinois, which is in the Big Ten. He was talking about his transfer destination. Give a listen.
I would never play in the Big Ten again. I wouldn't play in the Big East. I would go somewhere with a football team where I can enjoy a football game. But yeah, some schools have reached out, but some schools I've just been honest with them, and I haven't wasted their time. I flat out told them, that's just not somewhere I would even consider going.
How about Coleman Hawkins flat saying, I want to go somewhere where I can enjoy a football game? Well, if you want to go enjoy a football game and your options are Baton Rouge or Manhattan, Kansas, this is a no friggin' brainer. I mean, did he just tell us where he's going? He had a visit scheduled to Louisville and canceled it. So essentially, it's he could always consider somebody else, but as of now, it's Kansas State and LSU. You want to enjoy a football game? Would you want to go to Little Apple? Who you want to watch Kansas State play?
I mean, I don't want to go to the Little Apple.
You don't want to watch Kansas State play Houston in the Little Apple?
No.
You think you'd rather watch Alabama and LSU in Tiger Stadium?
Yeah.
Come on down, dog. I mean, we got Ole Miss coming this year. We got Bama coming this year. UCLA. Oklahoma's coming this year. Shoot. Sign me up, Coleman Hawkins. How about Matt McMahon? Doing work, bro. Just needed time, man. You had to give that man patience. He inherited a really, really, really tough situation, but he's doing yeoman's work. Good on you, Matt McMahon. Let's see if we can bring Coleman Hawkins home. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks to Matthew Brune for joining us. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll update the what is – I mean, I didn't think saying Paul Maneri going to South Carolina was going to be the big story of the day, but that's what's broken today, and we'll update everything we have, the absolute latest, next on AFR.
AFR.
If you are a business owner, you need Glow Resources. If you're having trouble hiring, you need Glow Resources. If you're hiring, but you're hiring the wrong people, you need Glow Resources. Glow Resources is not a temp staffing agency. Glow Resources is looking to find you, the business owner, permanent solutions, either in your skilled blue-collar labor force or your white-collar, C-level management jobs. Glow Resources can help. With offices not only in Baton Rouge, but New Orleans and Miami and all over, they place employees. They hire more than 1,000 employees a year to place in your job. They know the questions to ask to make sure you're getting the right person with the right qualifications, the right skill set that's going to show up on time and be accountable and work hard. If that sounds something appealing to you as a business owner, you need Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com. Again, check them out at glowresources.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
I'm glad you're rolling along with us here. You can always text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400. I'm getting a lot of questions today about LSU baseball and the transfer portal and obviously the news of Paul Maneri. Austin said, is there any chance Cam Johnson pulls a John Emery and comes back to LSU? No, I don't see that happening. Again, one of the things that we had kind of been told here for the past couple of weeks was Cam Johnson was a definite portal risk, and we talked about it last week after the season ended. We went through the roster and who was gone, who was returning, who had decisions to make, and we talked about Cam Johnson as one of those. So I don't anticipate Cam Johnson coming back to LSU. I anticipate him getting a very handsome NIL offer somewhere to go pitch somewhere else and go to a spot where he'll have likely less pressure and more of an opportunity in his sophomore year. So we'll see how that goes. It's always the risk. It's why we talk about, on Friday we had William Schmidt here. If you missed that interview, I would highly recommend you go check it out. We got it up on Facebook, on the 1045 ESPN Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. And if you don't know, William Schmidt is the pitcher from Catholic High. He's the number one player in Louisiana. He was the ace pitcher on the team that was ranked number one in the country this year. Catholic in Baton Rouge. And William Schmidt is going to have a decision to make. Does he take a multi-million-dollar offer from an MLB team to sign, or does he come play at LSU and fulfill that dream? And we'll see what all transpires there. But I'm always reminded of guys like Karsten Whitson. And if you remember Karsten Whitson, he was the number 9 pick in the draft and decided to go to Florida. He was offered 2-1. He wanted 2-7. So he went to Florida. He ended up having shoulder issues, ended up playing for 4 seasons, was a senior sign, and played 1 year of low A ball, and then his career was over. He's coaching now. And I'm not saying he made the wrong decision, because everybody has a decision to make based on the criteria available and based on whatever your individual situation or scenario calls for. It's just we see more often than not, especially with pitchers, guys who pass on money and show up on campus not get that money on the back end. Landon Marceau was one of those guys. Landon Marceau, when he was coming out of Destrehan, passed on a couple of $1 million to come to LSU. He didn't get that when he was drafted. Gavin Guidry was offered $2 million coming out of high school. For 2 years at LSU, he's been a reliever. Could somebody take a shot on him, to play shortstop, play middle infield, hit again? Maybe. That very well could happen. But it's why when guys have that decision to make, it's hard to fault young people for taking the money when it's there, because there's no guarantee that it's going to work out, that you come to school, spend 3 years, and improve your draft stock or make more money. But again, everybody considers all of the factors that are important to them, if it's family and location, and if you're mature enough to go be a professional yet, or whatever the case may be. But Cam Johnson's another one of those guys who had his number. He was offered a lot. He didn't get his number, so he decided to come to school, and after 1 year, it's shaky. So you try to make up some of that difference by going to get an NIL deal this year and next, and then seeing where you are in the draft, perhaps. And maybe that's what he'll do. But It's always the challenge when you're talking about a highly decorated guy like that in the decision to come to school. No, I don't think Cam Johnson's coming back to LSU. I think for Jay Johnson and the Tigers now, the onus is on them to go hit the portal hard and make sure that they're supplementing this roster of really talented incoming freshmen they have and re-recruiting the roster as far as who's coming back. So we've got plenty of guys that have decisions to make, but we'll talk about it. The thing that none of us were expecting to hear today was that Paul Mainieri is going to be the head coach at South Carolina. I do want to give you some thoughts on that as we've continued to learn more and more. We are brought to you by Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you all, I drink Evamore. The one here on set, the bottle here on set is a prop. We have it there, for the set for product placement. But I drink Evamore every day now. I've made this change in my life. If you want a healthier lifestyle, if you're an athlete, better form of hydration, parents, you want something better for your children, I would encourage you to do what I did and go read what's in your tap water, and then understand why natural artesian water is a better, healthier option. I mean, straight from the earth. Nothing added, nothing subtracted. And it's a rare alkaline source with a pH of 8.8 to 9.1. It's amazing. It tastes better, and it's healthier for you. It's Evamore, and it's a Louisiana product. So go to evamore.com, EVAMOR, evamore.com. You can order online, or you can find Evamore at great local retailers. Get a swig there. Evamore.com. All right, y'all. So, I'm looking at some of the reaction coming into the Paul Mainieri news. The news that Paul Mainieri is going to be apparently the head coach at South Carolina. Hat tip to Teddy Cahill from Baseball America was the first to report the interest. Kendall Rogers was the first to report that the deal was going to get done. And then there are further reports now that Terry Rooney will join Paul Mainieri in Columbia on his staff there. I can't say that this is terribly surprising to me. Paul Mainieri had his name in the mix for the Notre Dame job, the Miami job, and I think the further move we get, the clearer it is that Paul Mainieri didn't want to stop coaching, that he still wanted to keep coaching. It was just at a time where, his health with his neck situation, he was in a lot of physical pain. And maybe the time at LSU would just run its course, but it didn't necessarily mean that Paul Mainieri was done coaching. The real challenge, though, in my opinion, is he's going to a place that has expectations that might be unrealistic expectations. Ray Tanner won a couple of national titles at South Carolina, but it's been a long time since Carolina went back-to-back in 10 and 11. And when you look at Mark Kingston, who's been at South Carolina since 2017, he's not gone to Omaha, but he's made it to the Supers twice and the regional round 2 other times. So they've been to the postseason 4 times. They missed postseason twice. Now, there was the COVID year in there as well, so not counting that. But the 2 years they had a full season, in 2019 and 2022, they missed postseason altogether. And this year they lost in the Raleigh Regional. My point is, they've been to the Supers twice. They've been to the regional round 4 times in total. And that's not good enough in Columbia. Well, the real challenge there is, their ballpark, which when they opened it was gorgeous and was a state-of-the-art park, is now fallen behind. Similar to LSU, by the way. The same is true with the Box. When the Box opened in 2009, it was the majestic showplace of college baseball. It is no longer that because everyone else in the league since then has either built or upgraded their park. So now it's time for LSU to reinvest in the same way that Mississippi State did at Dudy Noble. And South Carolina doesn't have the deep pockets the way other places do. So in an NIL era as well, it's going to be harder to compete to get the players you need to win. So, he's going to a place that they have tremendous expectations, but the resources may not be in place to meet those expectations at South Carolina anymore. So what type of investment, what type of buy-in will Mainieri get in Columbia from boosters there? And I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. And maybe this is the type of thing when you're able to hire a Hall of Fame coach, a coach who has gone to Omaha and won the national championship, who got Notre Dame and LSU to the College World Series. Maybe that's the kind of thing that will reinvigorate that fan base and have a lot of them open up their pockets to spend. And I'll tell you, the other thing is, from an LSU perspective, Terry Rooney is a big loss. I mean, Terry Rooney is a noted and great recruiter. Now, Jay Johnson's awesome. Make no mistake. But Terry Rooney is a great asset. And there was a very real possibility. I mean, Terry Rooney came here with the idea that if somebody moved on from the on-field staff, he would be elevated to be an on-field staff member at LSU. Instead, now he'll follow Paul Mainieri to South Carolina to go be his pitching coach. So how that all transpires, I don't know. I'm sure Terry wants to be a head coach again. It's part of the reason why he came back here, was to be on this stage, to be noticed again, to have that opportunity wherever it may come. But listen, I'm going to wish Paul Mainieri a ton of success. And that man still knows and understands and can coach baseball. The roster building component of college baseball now in the NIL era is the thing that's different. And I mean, we're seeing at LSU, even with all of the resources and history that LSU has, LSU is losing prospects because of NIL. South Carolina is just not playing the same ballgame. So, I mean, I'll cheer for Coach and wish him well, except when they're playing LSU, of course. That's a tough job, though. That's a tougher job than it was when Ray Tanner was there winning championships, a dozen years ago. So, again, the official announcement from South Carolina expected tomorrow, with Paul Mainieri being introduced, and we'll see what may come of it. So, Paul Mainieri headed to Columbia to be the new head coach at South Carolina, as reported by Teddy Cahill, Kendall Rogers, and others as of this point. As that develops, we'll have more for you. Okay. Let me knock out our last break of the show. We'll come back, do Otter Locks. Jimmy will be here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
All right, y'all. It's 96 degrees earlier today. Right now at 5:46 in the afternoon, it's 90 degrees and sunny. If your AC is not keeping up, call River City's 1 Hour Air. Remember, nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out. They'll never charge you extra to come out nights, holidays, weekends, and they always do exemplary work. Maybe the best thing about River City's 1 Hour Air is when the technician comes to your house, they'll do the full evaluation, and then they're going to tell you what's wrong, and they'll give you a good, better, and best option. Maybe it's a thing where there's 3 different options laid out in front of you, and you want to maybe patch it as best you can and not spend the full amount to get a full repair, replacement, whatever it may be. But they're going to explain all of your options to you, and you're never going to feel pressured. That's one of the things I love about having River City's 1 Hour Air come out to my house. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR. We always appreciate Brandon, Holly, and the gang over at Relief Windows. They are just the best. If you need windows, doors, siding, or indoor shutters, you need the best. You need Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Okay, one thing left to do. Find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
Otter, how are you?
Good, Matt. How about you, brother?
Doing awesome, man. Good weekend and a really busy Monday. So I can't ask for much more in sports radio land.
Yeah, we finished off that 4-sport cross sport parlay, so it did hit that we put out last week.
Babe. Let's go. Can we get a ding?
Right around 3-1. The Aggies dug themselves a hole a couple of times.
Yeah, they did.
No problem there. So the Eagle Tech, Scheffler finished top 10. Well, he just won again.
I know.
And, and then the Yankees against the Twins last week. So there we go. Good job.
It's a heck of a parlay there, Otter. Kept you busy all weekend long. Nice cash there at 3-1.
Hey, look, going with your boys in Major League Baseball tonight. The Yankees. Carlos Rodon has been very good this year. We know that. Lugo, the pitcher for the Royals, it might be one of the hottest pitchers in all Major League Baseball. The Centenary product, who's a long-time middle reliever, now starter. But he got a 5-0 lead in Cleveland last start out, and you were just wondering about the shelf life of him with this new role as an everyday starter. They do get Soto back tonight. The Yankees minus 118 on the road on that one.
Got it.
Okay, Georgia and NC State, 2-seeded teams, 7 versus 10 seed. Second inning. NC State scores 11, and then Georgia. These games were over after the second inning on both days. This one should be closer. The steady action on the home team. The home teams have been have been advancing. 6 of the 7 teams are in the have won the Super Regionals. So you get some of that public action with the trend going right now. I like the value coming back. I found NC State as high as plus 143 right now. I don't think it's quite that high at DraftKings, but
it's 124.
Yeah, 124 to 143. So taking NC State in that one. And then Colucci Man is weighed in on game 2.
Yeah!
They shut out the high scoring Edmonton Oilers in game 1. It killed my middle with a empty net goal to make it 3-zip at the end. But the zigzag theory, so whoever loses this one, bounce back to the next one. It has been a big trend in the NHL as well. Well, they're following a trend as well. You're getting a very modest line right now, minus 120, minus 125 at home. I think Florida's a better team at home. Going to go with the Panthers in Colucci's pick in game 2 tonight.
All right. The Yankees on the money line. NC State plus 124 there on the money line, and the Florida Panthers in the NHL minus 125. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We are at Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson.
Very cool. Well, enjoy the show. Good luck tonight. We appreciate you as always.
Okay, Matt. Thank you. Good luck.
That is Jimmy Yacht, brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. You want to see 2020? Call 924-2020 over at the Williamson Eye Center. Could not recommend it highly enough. Maybe a gift for Dad on Father's Day. Maybe it's PRK. Maybe it's LASIK. Maybe it's a lens replacement. Ott had lens replacement a couple of years ago. Used to laugh at him when we go eat at SEC Media Days. He'd have to have the glasses at the end of his nose and the flashlight on his camera just to be able to, or his flashlight on his phone just to be able to read the menu. Doesn't have to do that anymore. Had the custom lens replacement over at the Williamson Eye Center with Dr. Blake Williamson. Sounds expensive, Matt. Dr. Blake Williamson is committed to making sure that everybody has the opportunity to see with perfect vision. So call, just go for that free consultation. 924-2020. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. That's Williamson, EYE.com. I'm going to do better to make sure we have time for what we learned at the end of the show now. Something we tried doing for a while. Muse, do you have anything for what we learned?
Will Hellmers does a really good Paul Maneri impression.
How about that? On the day where we had Will Hellmers, on the day where Paul Maneri took the South Carolina job, we got the full story about Will Hellmers' play. Did you know all of that?
No.
That's worth going back to listen to AFR On Demand today in and of itself if you missed the Will Hellmers interview. Paulie, can we clip the Will Hellmers interview and put that up there? Okay, we'll put it up on all the social media channels. Paulie, do you have what we learned?
I learned Paul Maneri is going to be the head coach of South Carolina.
How about that?
What did you learn, Matt?
Bama finished lower than Vanderbilt in the portal rankings.
AFR.
Net rankings from 24/7 Sports. Anyway. South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online, southpointvw.com. My cousin Steven texted me earlier today and said, hey, by the way, my cousin Steven, both he and his wife both drive Volkswagens. I drive Volkswagen. Erica drives. Y'all know that. We're a whole Volkswagen family now. Texted me earlier today and said, hey, who do I talk to over at South Point Volkswagen about getting their son, Will? They want to get him a used SUV or pre-owned SUV at South Point. So I connected him with Kerry Manuel, who is my friend over at South Point, who's the certified pre-owned manager. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Let's do a deal. So if it's new or certified pre-owned, check out South Point Volkswagen. Right now, they've got a trade-in and trade-up event at South Point Volkswagen. They need inventory. They need pre-owned inventory. So if you're thinking about a new vehicle, this is the time to go to South Point Volkswagen. southpointvw.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who do.